Hey everybody, this is Matt from MasterSketchup.com, and I created this video for people who are brand new to SketchUp or for those who have tried it before and are thinking about giving it a second shot. So by the end of this video, I hope that you'll be able to create your first model in SketchUp. So this is the welcome screen that you're going to see when you first open SketchUp. They've got a couple of links here to help you get started if you want to dig through some of these, and usually they have like a featured article link here. But what you're going to have to do is choose a template. So you click choose template, and they have a bunch of preset templates based on what you want to do. I personally like using the architectural design feet and inches, so let's just click that and start using SketchUp. So this is your interface, and by default there's a person that gets placed a little bit off center here, and you're gonna probably want to delete her right away. So you click the select tool and you just click once to select her and hit delete on your keyboard. So one thing I recommend for people who are just getting started with SketchUp is to go to the window menu and hit instructor. And what that does is it pops up this window and it'll tell you whatever tool that you have currently selected. It'll kind of give you a little animation of what it does and give you some descriptions on the different options that you can do with those tools, with some links for advanced operations. It gives you a lot of information in it, and it's really great for people just starting out. So I recommend having that open, but I'm going to close it out here just so we have more viewing area. So let's go ahead and select the rectangle tool. And just for now, let's just hover your mouse over the intersection of the axes. And you can see there's a yellow dot that appears. And what that is the SketchUp inference system snapping to the axes. And if you drag your mouse up, it turns red and kind of runs along the blue axis. You know, as long as you keep your mouse relatively close to the axis. If you go too far out, it disappears. But you know, when you get into the vicinity of something that SketchUp can snap to, it's going to snap to it. You can see here we're on the green axis, and over here you can snap to the red axis. So it does that for you to help you be more precise when you're modeling, and it's very helpful. It's something that you'll find you'll use a lot. So let's go ahead back to the origin and click once to start the move, and then just drag your mouse out. You don't have to hold down your mouse button, you just click once, let go, and then that starts the activation of the tool, or the execution of the tool. So as you drag your mouse out, look at the bottom corner here. You can see there's a window that tells you the dimensions of whatever you're currently drawing. So the great thing about SketchUp is you can be as precise as you want, or you can be as rough as you want. So if I wanted to just drag out here to end the execution of the rectangle, you just click the left mouse button again, and SketchUp draws the rectangle for you. And you can see we landed at, you know, some arbitrary number, 14 feet 3 and 13/16 of an inch wide by 9 feet 4 3/4 long, or whichever way you want to think of it. But if you wanted to define a specific dimension, you can just type it into your keyboard either before you finish the action or right after you finish the action. So in this case, we just finished the action of creating the rectangle, and we can type in, let's say, 15 feet, comma, 10 feet, and then press enter. And you can see that the rectangle jogged out just a little bit since we were kind of close. And so now this measurement from here to here is 10 feet, and this is 15 feet. Now if you change your mind, you can continue to type in dimensions and press enter as many times as you want. So like, let's say we wanted to go 4 feet by 5 feet. Press enter, it resizes. So I'm going to just go back to the 15 feet, comma, 10 feet. So you can do that as many times as you want until you start another action. So if I started another rectangle over here, Now if I typed in some dimensions, it's going to go to that box that I just created, not the original one. But that's okay, because that's not the only way you can change the size of a shape. With the Move tool, you can move anything in SketchUp. This rectangle, for instance, is made up of 4 edges, 4 points. You can see we snapped right to these endpoints, and a face. So right in the center here, you can see that whole area got shaded. So if we wanted to move this edge, we just hover over it till it turns blue, and then we can click once to activate the move, and you can see the inference system here locking it into the red axis, so it's staying parallel with that red axis. And you can do the same thing with the blue axis by moving the mouse up and down, and the green axis as well. And you'll notice how whatever's selected does not change size or proportion, or everything else that's connected to it does. So in order for the selected object to stay the same shape, and for everything else to stay connected to it, everything else has to kind of scale around and move. And that's important to remember, that things that are touching each other in SketchUp tend to stick to one another unless they're isolated on a group or a component. Now, I don't want to get into groups and components too much right now, but they're probably the most important concept to understand in SketchUp. Now notice again how the window down here tells us how far away we're moving from the origin where we started the move. So we could go along the red axis, click, and type in 4 feet, and it'll automatically adjust to be 4 feet from where we started the move. Now you can move anything with the Move tool. If we hovered over the face, we could click on it, and you can see the whole rectangle moved. And that's because all the edges are connected to the face. So in order for the face to move, the edges have to go with it. But another great feature of the Move tool is the ability to make copies. So if while we have this move activated, we can just hit Control, and that tells SketchUp that we want to make a copy, not move the original one. So we can just lock to the blue axis, come up here, and click again, and we'll define 5 feet. That'll be the height that we want that to be at. So the next tool we'll use is the Line tool. This tool creates edges in SketchUp, so we can just start right here at this endpoint, bring it down to this endpoint, and you can see that it thinks we want to keep drawing, but you can just hit Escape on your keyboard and that'll cancel that out. And then we'll create another one here. And whenever you have more than 2 edges that are on the same plane that are connected, SketchUp will automatically create a face in between those. And then we'll create another one back here. And you can see the same thing happen. Now, in order to get to the back of the box, we're going to have to orbit the camera around the box in order to get a better perspective. So these are your camera tools up here. And primarily, you'll use the Orbit tool and the Zoom tool to navigate in your model. But instead of clicking these buttons up here, just click and hold the middle mouse button and then drag the mouse, and you can see how it orbits the camera around to the other side. And the thing that's really nice about using the mouse button instead of actually clicking these tool buttons is, let's say, so we have the Line tool selected right now. Let's say we started, let's go ahead and start this final line, and let's say we wanted to get a better perspective. We can actually come out here, click the middle mouse button, and you can see it changed to the Orbit tool. We can orbit around here, and when we let go, the Line tool, it comes right back to us, ready to go from where we left off. And then we can come down here and finish the line execution. The other thing you can do is using the scroll wheel on your mouse, you can zoom in and out. So that with conjunction in conjunction with the orbit tool, you can pretty much get to wherever you want to go. So wherever you point your mouse and scroll is going to be the center point from where the zoom happens. And then you can orbit around and kind of zoom into any spot you want. So let's orbit to the underside of this box. Grab the select tool, we'll select this face, and then grab the move tool. Now, when you pre-select something and then you go to the move tool, you don't have to hover over it or grab one of the edges of whatever you have selected in order to move it. You can actually reference any point in your model. You can even reference somewhere arbitrary out here, but it's always good to reference, you know, a concrete point in your model whenever you're moving or you know, trying to guide something. So just to show you, let's come up here to this point and click once to start the move, and you can see it starts to skew the box. What we're actually trying to do is make a copy, so we'll just hit Control, so that makes a copy, and you can see we're on the red axis. So we'll come out here and click to finish and type in 15 feet, enter, and you can see that we didn't have to actually click on this shape in order to get it to move. As long as you pre-select objects that you want to move, you can reference any point in your model. So this box took us, you know, quite a bit of time to create, and there's actually a tool that makes it a lot easier, and that's the push-pull tool. So you can use the push-pull tool on any face. So we just click and then drag up, and you can see it automatically creates the four edges and makes the face into a 3D object. And you can drag your mouse out anywhere and reference any point for the height. So let's make it the same height as this box. So we can just go to, you know, sometimes you can grab the face. If you move around, it thinks you're trying to do something else. I like to try to hit points just to make sure I don't screw it up. So I reference that point, and you can see that it pulled that box up to the same height as the other one. You can also use the push-pull tool to manipulate existing faces, but the only thing you have to be careful of is if you have a face already selected. Like, let's say I wanted to push or pull on this face. Since this one's pre-selected, if I click, it's gonna automatically go to the one I have selected. So I'll hit escape. So let me show you that again. If this was selected and I had the push-pull tool, I can just hit escape, and that'll clear out this selection and allow me to just hover over the faces to make my push-pull. And you can manipulate these any way you want, and you can define the distance that it goes in the box down there as well. So the last tool I want to show you is the tape measure tool, and you can also think of this as a guide placement tool. So first of all, let's say you wanted to measure the distance between these 2 points. So you can click to start on the point, and you just drag out, and it'll snap to points and edges. You can see we have 11 feet. You could measure diagonally if you wanted to, or the height, 5 feet. Okay, and I'll hit escape to cancel that out. And the cool thing about this is, like I said, to create a guide. So to make a guide, you have to start from an edge. So make sure the dot is red, and you click to start, and then you drag out. So you could drag out to the midpoint, the blue circle. Whenever you see a blue circle, that means you're at the midpoint between 2 points. So we could go to the midpoint. We could go out here if we wanted to measure the distance to the beginning of the next box, or we could measure the total distance there. So we'll just go to the midpoint there. So now that we have that guide in place, we can, let's say we want to move this box, we can click the select tool, and to select this whole box we could do a couple of things. We could hold down the left mouse button to create a selection box, or if we wanted to, we could triple click. By triple clicking, it'll select all connecting faces and edges. So from that we can grab the move tool, and let's say we want to grab the midpoint, and we can drag it over here, and we locked right onto that guide, and you can click to finish that. So now you can see our midpoints are in line with each other. Now it looks like these boxes are not exactly the same size. So if we wanted to fix that, for whatever reason we're making two identical boxes, we can grab the push-pull tool and select this face and pull it out, reference this face over here. So now those will be in the same line. And then we can do the same thing over here. We can select this, drag it over, and now this one will be in the same line as the other box. And then if we wanted to define absolute distance between the two, we could drag a guide out here and then define 4 feet, enter, and then triple click this again, grab the move tool, click that corner, and snap over here. So now we can measure this, and you can see we got 4 feet. So using these basic tools, the line tool, rectangle, the tape measure, the push-pull tool, and the move tool, you can really do a lot in SketchUp. The next video I'm going to go over groups and components, and that's going to show you how to keep your model organized and protect the geometry from one another. That way when you change one thing, it's not going to affect all the other parts in your model, which is really good and really important. And if you'd like to learn more about SketchUp, visit mastersketchup.com.